Welcome to our live reaction of Anne Rice's Mayfair Witches. I'm Minerva, and Jank will be joining on the couch with our dogs Bub and Grace to watch episode 1. Jank and I are fans of Anne Rice, and I recently read the Mayfair Witch series, so we were excited to see this adapted into a TV series. Coming up is highlights of our live reactions to episode 1, followed by our thoughts on the show in comparison to the books. With that in mind, there are spoilers for those who are reading the books or watching the series. In the comments, if you'll tell us about your experience with Anne Rice, her books, the show, that would be awesome. We'd love to hear about them. Leave a comment, If you don't leave a comment, Deirdre is going to jump off of the balcony.
How do you feel about the whole Michael Aaron situation before we watch?
Well, I'm pretty pissed about that, but
We're probably at the house.
yeah. So this
is also like probably supposed to be set like.
So this looks like it's supposed to be the doctor that used to come to visit her that just like went crazy.
Already on the floor.
They don't like it when a shot is late. No, I understand. But because I'm new and taking over for Dr. Stevens,
I think this is like straight out of the first
I
chapter.
believe this is
Yeah.
my patient. I mean, the file is so thick.
And remember, the slow blade penetrates the shield. Wait, what does that even mean? I don't know.
That's a quote from
Some
Dune.
guy said it to me in a bar.
Slow blade penetrates the shield.
Well, she likes men in bars. That's accurate to the book.
Hi. What are you doing here?
The broken pavement.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is an actual street somewhere.
If you refuse to obey me,
Oh, this must be for a lot
Oh,
of
this has got to be like.
protect you. Just go to your
I was kind of wondering the same thing though, if they actually filmed this in New
No, I
Orleans.
bet that was all. I bet this is all built. This part of it, like the house and everything, that broken sidewalk, all that.
So far though, like I really feel like
Well, good someday.
you've gotten a lot of details right.
Been there since I was 10 years old, and here I am.
That's not how I imagine
I
him
don't play
looking.
the games anymore. You know how I feel about you.
Look at the mural on the wall
And
though.
what I want from you.
Oh, that whole, like the wallpaper.
Oh,
It looks really good. They did really good on
I like this.
that. They got the keyhole doors.
Hidden in the back of the closet.
Now, she didn't tell her mom about this.
well, her mom was also dead.
I thought maybe
Did she
Even
tell?
so,
Did she tell Michael, who's not a character in this?
yes, eventually.
So she needed to tell somebody in the show.
And she told Aaron.
We needed to hear the backstory. Okay, so
Yeah.
she told two people who aren't a character in this show,
Yeah,
two major characters.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
the agency will not
So now she gets to tell it to her dead mother.
Yeah.
for you.
Bubba, you want to come lay up here? Come here. Come here. Come here. I got a blanket. Come. Oh, he wants you. For now.
Are you serious?
Is this our replacement for Michael?
I bring guys like that
I don't know.
because they don't
This kind of looks like I would picture Michael.
know. I'm
Yeah.
sweet.
That's the best casting for a character that's not in the show. We're gonna be seeing Rowan the whole time. They needed to get her right.
I feel like I disagree with that a little bit because Deirdre and the connection that she had with Lasher is like a big part of the story too.
Yes, but I feel like her look and the way she
Yeah.
talks and acts and all that was
Isn't
not
quite as
as
important. Yeah.
important.
I thought that conversation that they had was weird too because she never had seen a being or presence or anything like that until the day that Deirdre died.
What's going on here?
Well, Lasher's so fucking. But that's weird.
Those weren't supposed to be like gloves, were they? Like that person.
No, I think that they were supposed to be. I think it was like a whole masquerade dress
I
up
didn't see gloves before
kind
that.
of look. But Deirdre's a little old. Like, she looks like she's about 17 or 18, and she's supposed to be like 14 when she gets pregnant.
Well, maybe it's better that they don't insinuate that it's a 14-year-old getting pregnant and show that sex scene.
I just imagined that they would, make her appear a little
I imagine she's not supposed to be 14
younger,
in the story,
innocence.
the way the last scene just played out.
I hear you.
Now this is our Michael replacement.
Is it?
You don't think?
Okay, that's okay.
Chris Rock have another brother we don't know about?
I don't know, but that was weird how they did that.
Yeah, I don't think that.
It was like he was peering into a different
I don't think it's supposed to work like a secret spyglass.
realm. It's,
I'm the agent in charge of your daughter's file.
Looked like he held up his decoder ring.
Thank you so much for calling me back.
That's the
they
lady from,
called the Talamasca. That's who she called.
that's the lady from Friday After Next.
I think so.
I
With
can feel
the like the way you got that lined up.
So this is good news. He's here, your daughter's there, 2,000 miles between you, so you can breathe a little easier, right?
For now.
That is hers. We got that lined up.
What's gonna happen the next time you call me
and no one answers.
I mean,
I'm gonna call Sweet Dick Willie.
my daughter thinks
I will.
This guy's name is Mr. Green. Not Lightner.
I'm the one that will keep your daughter safe.
You, the first generation of human beings, just might live forever.
I just wanted him to stop after the first part of that sentence. It sounded like he was like, "You are the first generation of human beings."
I hadn't put
Have a good day.
The tough thing with the trial is we only have so much
Peeing in the
room.
sink.
Yeah.
I'll have to rejigger things to get your mom in.
I don't know if it's a sink,
It
but
looks like he's peeing in the sink.
yeah, he might be.
No, I think there was a toilet next to his
I
sink.
have a reputation.
Or urinal.
But
If you work
it
here,
just kind of looked like he was peeing in the sink.
and the girls, you gotta think like a killer.
Metaphorically, of course.
Didn't wash his
I know a
hands
lot of
either.
doctors who are killers and not just.
Does that surprise you?
I mean, you'd think a surgeon.
A jackass hotshot
Pick a name.
runs a stem cell research laboratory
There's 30 slots. We already have 30 patients.
in his personal
Doesn't
office.
matter
He's not
to
gonna
me
wash his
which
hands.
patient your mom replaces.
Wants to know that his dick is touching every person's hand that he shakes.
And make it 31.
Sure you haven't dealt with the FDA.
You think that you should live forever, why? So that you can piss in front of more women or play God with cancer patients' lives? Or maybe you think that you should never die simply because you're such a dazzling gift to the world, so busy changing it.
Because somebody else? I don't know, this room's already got a lot of bodies on hand.
What happened?
It happened again,
That's true, really.
just like it did with Keg and Lucy Stone. Except this time I lost my temper and made it happen.
Rowan, I cannot
hear this.
To face it. I have to face what's happening. There's something really wrong with me.
Damn it, girl, I'm trying to die of cancer and you're talking about killing people with mind bullets.
The monster's
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
What the fuck? That's not how this works. Okay, so first of all, Lasher just knows that he's always been there. He doesn't know what or who he is.
Yeah, I get the whole like mutating thing where you're talking about something with the angular.
Lasher always talks to the witches about how he belongs to them. Because that's how he manipulates them.
Mm-hmm.
He never says that they belong to him. Not to them, anyways.
What you did to is to love your mother with your heart.
And he never gave any of them a choice. They give it to some distant cousins.
Here are the rules. You will change your name. You will no longer be a Mayfair. You will never return here. You will never call. And most importantly, this baby can never ever know who she is. It would be too dangerous for this family and for her.
Whatever you say, Aunt Carla. What's her name?
I want to be like, here are the rules. Don't feed her after midnight. Don't get her wet.
Don't feed her after midnight.
I want to know who Deirdre Mayfair really is.
I feel like this guy is the most like anybody in the actual book right now. The rolling storm where she sees him, his face in the.
This is literally just on a sound stage too. You can't see anything outside the windows.
Yeah. That's supposed to be the first time that she realizes there's a being in her presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not there's this being in my shadow.
His dad had nothing
So that was it.
That was the first episode. On this particular episode, I think I would rate, like I'm teetering between a 6.5, 7 out of 10.
I think that's probably fair. Like, I think there was enough that they got right to warrant, like some praise. And I'm ready to see the next episode. I didn't completely hate it, but I also think there was some stuff I didn't like or that they got wrong, and I know that there are some changes coming that I'm not gonna like.
Yeah.
We're already missing Michael. We got the ring decoder psychic powers going on. I don't know what that was about.
The ring decoder?
The way the guy looked, like when he touched the fence and it like showed he looked like he put up his secret spyglass or held up his ring decoder and
come on.
got to see what was going on.
Let's sit here. I do think that the setting of it was done very well.
I think like the house.
Yep. Which
and all that.
For me, that was actually a really important part because it is such an important piece in the story that house is like a part of the family, and that's where everybody grew up, and that's where everything is based.
Like that house has a life of its own.
Yeah.
It's alive.
Yeah, and they even the characters in the book talk about that a lot. I think it's really sad that we don't.
Mostly Michael.
I was just going to say it's really sad that we don't have Michael because I think Michael is what made that place feel like home. Like a real house, a real home.
And are we going to see it? Like, I don't feel like it looks like it's in quite as disrepair as you feel like it is in the book. When Rowan gets it, like it, I think it's really like a big thing that he like restores his house to its former glory.
It kind of just feels overgrown in the show. Where I agree with you in the book, it feels like lots of windows were broken out.
And are they just gonna like leave it like
Mm-hmm.
in this kind of like half state where it's overgrown but not really broken down, and it's just going to stay that way because we have no Michael. I shouldn't be going into the show with that baggage of having to like it despite the fact that you took out two major characters
Yeah.
and tried to do something else with them. Like if you want to make whatever kind of stylistic or artistic influence on the show or whatever, make it, you shouldn't be making it your own thing because you're adapting a story, first of all. You should be being as true to that story as you can, which it seems like they do care about in certain aspects.
Mm-hmm.
But you, the fact that you could put so much care into making that house look the way it does, and that some things that they do, and then completely butcher the entire story and cut out main characters and the ones that people who, I mean, just speaking for the two of us, that are fans of the series, love these characters, and it's a big part of what the book is, and
Yeah.
we already feel the absence.
Like I feel like the witching hour, like obviously it very much was a story about Rowan and her part in the family, and about the background and history of that family. But to me, that story was really about Michael learning about the history of the family and how he played a part in that whole line
And now it looked
in the
like
present day, and how him and Rowan like became this thing. Like they were both very important to each other in the story. Like I don't see it as a story about Rowan. I see it as a story about how Michael and Rowan came to be and why. And we're missing half of that now. And we're going into it knowing we're going to miss half of that. Like I almost feel like you could have even just changed out Aaron Leitner for any character you ever wanted, and it wouldn't have changed the storyline.
so much of the richness of the story comes from Michael too. He is
Yeah.
such a tragic character, and
Yeah.
and a lot of what Rowan is by the end of that, for better or worse, comes from her interactions with Michael.
Mm-hmm. I know, like that almost made us not even want to watch it at all.
It's really sad. And I wouldn't have minded if they wanted to add this green character into the story, especially if you just used him as, a way to add in things that were explained in the book without them actually being said. They could be said to or by this character, but you can't cut out Michael and Aaron and replace them with whatever this character is supposed to be.
I mean, I think that you could have an Aaron character with that different name, whatever, as long as it's still just a guy from the Talamasca, and he'd be okay. Even if he wasn't there by their side, like he is in the book.
Yeah,
like,
they might have gotten away with just replacing Aaron with
Yeah.
Mr. Green. Like, I wouldn't have hated it as much, but you can't cut out Michael.
Yeah. And I know in the books, like Michael and Aaron's friendship is important too, but I don't think that that necessarily helps to progress the storyline. I think it really is just a way to, it kind of keeps that personal connection of the Talamasca to the family a little bit more intimate, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not required for the progression.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to end up with a completely different story with some of the same characters that have some of the same backstory. This is no longer the Mayfair series that we read.
Yeah.
It is the reboot or the revamp with some of the same characters, and we're taking it in a different direction. And like we talked about, I don't like some of the casting choices. I think Rowan doesn't look or feel like Rowan.
She's supposed to be like very, like she's supposed to
She's
be
like
that
that.
woman that walks into a room and like you either are drawn to her because you're so mesmerized or you're
Repelled by her.
kind of like she's not necessarily like this standout drop dead gorgeous woman, but just her vibe to her and the energy she puts off is I'm in charge, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, her demeanor didn't seem right at all.
Yeah.
Like, she seemed like nervous.
She's very strong-headed. She chooses her words wisely.
She pictured a calm, collected, calculating individual.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing for me, like, I wouldn't mind, like, if she doesn't look exactly like physically the description in the book. That doesn't bother me as much, I guess.
At least act like it.
One of the things that I liked that they described about her in the book, and maybe this was just very vivid for me because I work in healthcare, but they talked about how she was like very strong-willed, and when she like recommended something, that's what people followed. But she also treated the nurses very kindly, and she was very respectful of what they saw and taking in like their information that they would give to her and what their recommendations were.
Yeah, I remember.
Like
that.
she really depended on her staff to bring her information so that she could then make good decisions. But when it came to other surgeons, she just knew she was better. And she wasn't like outwardly, you suck, but she knew she performed better. And so she just didn't bother with them. This girl is like, please like me, please like me. I do a good job, I work hard. Where the real Rowan would have just been like, you're going to tell me no? Do you really think that's going to turn out well for you?
Yeah, she seems like the same character in name only, really.
Yeah, and location. They got the boat thing right, which was really nice.
All I got from that was she has a boat. She went out on it one time.
Still,
and she likes to fuck guys in it.
I did like that they included that though, because I felt like that was an important symbolism piece in the book, that even though she had a land home in California, she really felt more at peace on the boat out by herself, away, like no connection kind of setting. And then once she had met Michael Curry and they had formed a relationship, and she went to New Orleans and left that behind because it was hard for her to do that. She really wanted to bring that boat with her, but it stayed there.
Yeah.
And then she like planted roots. So I felt like it was nice that they kept that symbolism.
I don't think that you get that from these scenes. So
I don't think that that's how they're going to go about this. I don't think that they're going to translate that into the show.
I wonder how much we're going to actually get to see. From what I read somewhere, this series was supposed to cover the first book, The Witching Hour, and I don't know how many, if they were planning on covering that in one season or multiple seasons. If they end up not doing well the first season and it gets canceled, then we might very well just get part of The Witching Hour and then it stops there, So
yeah,
I feel like a lot of the meat of the story is in Lasher and Teltows, and like you get a lot of like build up and information in the first book, but like the end of the first book would make a great like season 1 cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And then you get into the rest of the story in season 2 and 3.
The middle part of it is really the history. Like once Rowan and Michael meet, like you kind of go back and forth a little bit. So it would have been nice layout wise if they had taken like segments of that history, like the people who were important in bringing the Mayfair family to where they are now, and done like an episode on them so that you got some of that background on them. I guess my last thing that I'm kind of curious about is are there any new predictions that we might have? We do know from the research a little bit that we did that that this Talamasca character is supposed to be a combination of Aaron Leitner and Michael Curry, and is supposed to be a love interest for her. So I imagine that that phone call with mom that's like, you have to protect her, becomes kind of a, okay, I physically need to do that. So he somehow ends up meeting up with her. He shares some of the story of her history, but he's also trying to figure it out too. Don't think that he's in a position where he knows about it. He knows just enough to know that it's off, like the family's off. And so I kind of feel like they go on a journey together to learn about who she really is and who the family is. And maybe we'll end up at the end episode, the last episode, with those two are together, moved into the home, and she's pregnant.
I have a new prediction.
Okay.
They're going to drag out Carlotta's death, and she's going to be the main antagonist of the show.
Yeah.
She's not going to die until the end, and that's who Rowan's going to be raging against during the whole series.
That would make sense. That would make sense. No, that makes sense. And maybe they'll like twist it somehow that she has like a special shield ability, and Rowan's special powers don't work on her until later on.
Lasher is an antagonist in his own way.
Yeah, and they need, he's going to be that one that you go back and forth on. You don't know if he's good or bad or whatever. Also, I will add that whole fried peanut butter and jelly sandwich was my idea. And you loved it. Next time on the Witching Hour. And Joink. Think I sound too professional for you? Do I need to whore it up a bit? What the fuck? What's the smut you've turned into lately? Maybe Ryan Reynolds will watch this or something. Or Jason Momoa. That's not how this works. You give me the shivers. You give me the shimmies and the shakes. Do you need to do it with your dick in your hand? Stop. I'm going good here. Stop. Jank and I are fans of Anne Rice, and I recently read the Mayfair. That's all, folks. Oh, maybe you want the phone. Oh my God! Don't use that clip.